Hello there, it's another beautiful day here on Aso Morning. I am feeling very happy today because I have decided to shut off all the things that's happening around the world and focus on positivity. It's going to be good. We're not going to experience a world war. Everything is going to be fine, and I hope that's the perspective you left home with. It's going to be better. Thanks again for being part of the show. My name is Joy Asonye, welcoming you. As usual, we'll start with a newspaper review segment where we look at stories that made front page this morning, analyze those stories, and keep you informed about what's going on around the world. And after that, we will just move on to the interview segment where we'll be discussing widows. Yesterday, the 23rd, was International Widows Day. A day set aside to appreciate widows, the kind of challenges they face, the sacrifices they have to make without spouses, and having to still ensure a beautiful, growing and nurturing environment for their children, even though they do not have their spouses. And in Nigeria, this story is even different because we have really fundamental issues where some traditions and cultures strip these widows of everything you can think of, especially when their husbands were sole heads of the home who catered for everything in the home. Those are the challenges we'll be discussing at that point. But remember, we will still give you Daniel Black's Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow, where he looks at smart farming and agricultural practices, talking about the update innovations in that sector and how you too can participate. It is a very viable sector, especially at the moment where we are struggling to even afford corn. Did you know that corn is 500 naira for one? Very sad, very sad. But moving on, that will be it for Aso Morning today. We'll go for a short break to return with the newspapers. Promises to be very interesting. So stay with us as we take you around the world of news.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube live stream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Welcome back from that short break. It's time for the newspaper review segment where we'll be looking at stories, like I said, that made front page this morning and analyze those stories. But you've got me rather to analyze those stories with you. I hope you are going to be engaging. Remember, we are streaming live on YouTube. You can also engage with us on our Facebook platform at Aso Radio TV. Aso Radio TV on Facebook, and on YouTube, Aso Radio and TV. That's where you can engage with us. We would be looking at stories that made front page this morning, and we'll jumpstart this segment with the Daily Times newspaper. The Daily Times has here 250 women die daily from maternal health issues. 250 women die daily from maternal health issues in Nigeria. According to the Daily Times, that story is coming from a Don, just Don. We're not sure who, I'm not sure, I don't know who Don is, but this is very alarming. 250 women die daily from maternal health issues in Nigeria. We have said it often. For some of us who report health sometimes, it is very appalling to still record that number of people, that number of women die daily. I just hope this data is wrong, because if it is true, imagine 250 women dying daily in Nigeria from maternal health issues. What are we doing? Why are we not improving our primary health care facilities? Women are having to run to traditional health practitioners who themselves are not trained. I remember the Ministry of Health some time ago was, I don't think it was a one-off, but it's been on in terms of maternal health, ensuring that there is that constant train the trainers, these traditional birth attendants, but they are not prepared for some complications that may arise. And it is really, really sad that we are still recording 250 women die. 250 women die daily from maternal health issues in Nigeria. That's the unfortunate report we are still having here. When instead of talking about 2027 and engaging again and paying so much money in consulting and all the shenanigans that happen during elections, we could use that money to improve primary health care facilities, one facility at a time, one center at a time. We have not even started discussing the nourishment these women need during pregnancies, the routine drugs they need during pregnancies. Do women even know that this is available for them? We have not started discussing the roads. What are senators doing in their constituencies? Women suffer so much. Sometimes the roads to these facilities are so bad that they find it so difficult to get to the nearest facility to get medical intervention. When you ask what they call now constituency project you're doing, you buy rice once again. And after that, these women still cannot get to facilities. The facilities are in distasteful state, and nothing goes on after that. That's the saddest thing. That's the saddest thing. Okay, moving on from that very sad story, and hoping that it will get the attention of the Ministry of Health, it will get the attention of the federal government, state governments to do better in improving maternal health, improving public health facilities. I understand that inflation has also reached pharmaceuticals. I keep hammering on this. That's how important it is. People can no longer afford their drugs, their routine drugs, in all sectors, in all the diseases you can think of. I had a conversation with a doctor here, the good doctor who discussed hypertension some time ago, and he says people are resorting to alternative means to manage hypertension. How do you get alternative means? These are means that have not gone through the clinical trials necessary. very sad situation. Our health sector needs reform, our health sector needs attention, and I really hope that we would, for once, spotlight the health sector, giving it the attention that it deserves. The 1% can always fly out of this country. The rest of us depend on this to be able to get services, health services. Moving away from that very, very sad story that really, really touched me, we have right above the masthead of the Daily Times newspaper. Here it says, Custom proposed 1.13 trillion budget for 2025 despite poor fund utilization. Custom proposes 1.13 trillion budget for 2025 despite poor fund utilization. Tinubu pledges support for farmers grazing development. Tinubu pledges support for farmers grazing development. Here we go again. What's going on with the livestock ministry? I should expect it vibrant. I still drive around the Federal Capital Territory with herds blocking major highways. That's very embarrassing. But yeah, Abuja. In Abuja, while driving, you are conscious of the motorist beside you. You're conscious of pedestrians, but be conscious of the senior citizens, the cows. Be conscious, the cows and rams that would come your way if you're not careful. Sometimes we've seen videos where you see them, you respect yourself and park, but of course they are animals. How well can you tame them? They still destroy your side mirrors and all of that. Who are you going to call? Is it those toddlers that are headers, those young people? What would you tell them? Oh, fix my headlight? So I was really hoping that by now there would be solutions that will come from this Ministry of Livestock Commission for Livestock and everything that came out of the livestock establishment. We have a committee, Senate Committee on Livestock now. With all of this, we still have not seen, we've not recorded any tangible benefits to all of that. Another unfortunate one right there. But the president has pledged support for farmers and grazing development. We see how that goes. So much has been promised to farmers. Remember the state of emergency declared by the president on food security, and so much that was promised to farmers. Farmers, how markets is what I will ask. But again, moving away from that, petrol prices jumps to 915 as crude oil rally weak naira bite. Petrol price jumps to 915 as crude oil rally weak naira bite. That's on page 15 of the Daily Times newspaper. 5.4 million children face acute malnutrition in northern Nigeria. That's coming from a report, a very sad report right there, talking about nutrition. How much is egg any longer? Can you afford milk for children? You know what they say about all the calcium necessary, all the nutrition and balanced diet. It is really tough, and it's unfortunate once again that I don't know if it's a bleak future if we are not serious about agriculture. Some Nigerians are suffering. I don't like to say Nigerians, because when I say Nigerians, I then remember that there are people flaunting wealth in our faces. So they must be doing something right, and they do not. I'm not including them to this conversation, not at all. I'm talking about Nigerians who are living below $1, below $1, and a dollar is, say, what, 1,500, well, 1,005, 1,006. But irrespective, what can you now buy at 1,006? It was dire before, where we recorded the multi-dimensional poverty line, and how 150 Nigerians were in multi-dimensional poverty. But I wonder if those statistics are reeled out now, where will our head will be at? Where would we be? What would we be recording very, very sad, absolutely. And if we are saying 5.4 million Nigerian children in northern Nigeria are suffering malnutrition, what are we doing? What are we doing to ensure that we do not start recording children mortality? We cannot afford to do that to our children. We must be responsible. We must learn how to cater for our young ones. It's not rocket science. The attention is on agriculture, agriculture, agriculture. Let's get food to tables, to dining tables. The children deserve better. They deserve attention. And sometimes when I have these conversations, it really saddens me, because parents try so much. We're talking about the north that is already riddled with security challenges. I can understand why farmers, the north that used to be so vibrant in agriculture, farmers are unable to farm or go to their farms because of fear of being attacked, the insecurity there. So it's affecting. There's a ripple effect. Absolutely, it's not rock. You don't need anyone to tell you. It goes without saying that you would expect the poverty, you expect malnutrition. And I hope that the government is taking this as seriously as it should, because imagine having to record as much as 5.4 million Nigerian children facing malnutrition, and this is just northern Nigeria. We have not, the report said nothing about other parts of the country. Our government must be more responsible and responsive to some of these issues. Abuja remains safe for citizens and visitors. The federal government is saying Abuja remains safe for citizens and visitors, and I agree totally with that. We have not recorded those security breaches. That's enough to say Abuja is not safe for citizens and visitors. Abuja is the safest. I mean, some of us who are in the media sometimes drive very late at night, and you could see security present. You could see we have those stories, but that's not to undermine the many bridges sometimes that we have. I'm just saying it's not that volatile. It's safer than several other cities. And yes, visitors come one, come all. Federal government backs Africa-led sustainable climate infrastructure development. Absolutely. Let's have something tailored to us, peculiar to us. Let us have Africa-led sustainable climate infrastructure development. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Let it be tailored to the peculiarities of our terrain. Let's have one that understands not just our culture, our way of life, one that can infuse better. So when you import one that's alien to us, it falls flat in the face, because it's like saying, okay, don't wrap your moi moi in polythene. Okay, if you don't want us to wrap it in nylon packs or in polythene, you will need a solution that is tailored to us, so that you would understand. But a foreigner may just say, stop eating moi moi altogether. And how dare you tell a Nigerian to stop eating moi moi? But that's just an illustration. Hypothetically speaking, nobody has asked us to do that. I'm just giving you an example of why it is necessary to have homegrown, tailored, peculiar solutions that are peculiar to us. Climate change is really affecting us, not necessarily because we contribute so much to the climate challenges we have, but because we are at the receiving end of it all. Somebody also made mention of something that was very instructive. It says if you fly around JFK, everywhere, and I could show you pictures. I did that experiment. If you fly around New York, everywhere is industries, is being taken. But if you fly around Abuja, for instance, it's greenery, foliage, and trees, and all of that. So we're not doing as badly as the West. The global South is constantly at the receiving end of climate consequences, and so, but we still need to do a lot to mitigate these consequences and the impact of climate change. So let's have homegrown, Africa-led, sustainable climate development, infrastructure development. And the last story I will be taking from the Daily Times newspaper this morning, it says Deputy Speaker Carlo leads PAP delegation to European Parliament. That's a presidential amnesty program. That's the PAP I know. I don't know if that is it. Presidential amnesty program. That's the PAP I know. That's on page 13 of the Daily Times newspaper. And that's it for the Daily Times newspaper this morning. We move quickly to the Vanguard newspaper. Now the Vanguard newspaper has as its lead story right here. Okay, it has the commissioning. Remember, we kept saying it here on the program that the FCT minister has a 17-day long commissioning plan, and I don't know what day we are at the moment, but the Vanguard has the entire paper taken by that advertorial from the FCT. It says President Tinubu commissions road linking Idu and Zuba. Today being, what's today's date? 24th of June. President Tinubu commissions road linking Idu and Zuba today. The Honorable Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Nyesom Wike, CON, and the Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Maria Mahmood, on behalf of all residents of the FCT, welcome His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to the commissioning of the newly constructed right-hand service carriageway of Inner Northern Expressway from Ring Road 3, Outer Northern Expressway, Murtala Mohammed Expressway, Idu to Zuba Road. That is going to happen today, Tuesday, the 24th of June, 2025, along Inex by Bridge. That's where it's happening, over railway lines. 2 p.m. today, the President will be commissioning alongside the Minister. I mean, in some way, he's a governor, isn't he? The Minister and Minister of State of the FCT. That commissioning is going to be happening today. If you have time, you could also visit to know what's going on, maybe even have a handshake with your minister. But beyond that advert, we move on now to some stories, just a story that the Vanguard was able to squeeze in there. It says, hunger, poverty, and now security threats. NSA, CDS, that's coming from the NSA and CDS. It says, hunger, poverty, now security threats. Okay, maybe the Vanguard has plans right there. I have no idea. I can't make anything out of that headline. It's just stating the obvious right there. But you too you can go ahead and pick that paper and know what's going on. What is going on? It's talking about the threat. The threat. Are we talking about security? Are we talking about hunger? Are we talking about what are we not calculating? It's funny. It's funny when you talk about all the things that Nigerians are facing at the moment. It's really, really funny, and I am confused a bit from that because it's saying hunger, poverty, now security threat coming from the NSA. That doesn't really say anything per se. So with that, so that I do not preempt or speculate what that could possibly mean, I will say pick a paper, go to the story. It's on page 5. Yes, it's on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. You can move on. You can pick that story and know what the NSA and the CDS is saying about hunger, poverty, and now security challenges. With that, we move on to the Leadership newspaper this morning. The Leadership says, 2027, ex-Tinubu's aide Baba Ahmed observes cracks, slams coalition. 2027, ex-Tinubu's aide Baba Ahmed observes cracks, slams coalition. And the writer here says, no time for new party. Babachir Lawal is saying, we'll unite under one political party. El-Rufai is retorting. How interesting, right? I mean, we are talking about poverty, we're talking about hunger, we're talking about maternal deaths, which, by the way, again, I must remind you, 224 women die daily from maternal issues. But our politicians are talking about 2027 and the coalition, the political coalition that's going to happen. I would expect that opposition would oppose policies that aren't favoring the people, that would the opposition should pick on this and challenge the sitting administration, the current administration, to do more. But we're talking about 2027 and Nigerians are watching. Now, one mama born all of una, if you ask me. One mama born all of una, because we cannot be recording all of this. I had a conversation with a friend sometime yesterday, was trying to marry the climate conversation, marrying it to projects that can be tailored to maternal and improved health. How can we record peculiar climate change issues, from drought from some parts of the country to flooding in other parts of the country? How can stakeholders tailor their intervention, their policies to tackling this one in that intentionality, to ensure that we are tackling the consequences of climate change in whatever you do? It will be interesting to look at that. But, well, we're talking about cracks and talking about coalition and how El-Rufai is assuring everyone that they're all going to unite under a political party that, once again, will promise to save us. Above the masthead of the leadership newspaper, hunger, poverty, catalyst for insecurity in Nigeria. I think that makes a better headline. It's better than what Vanguard had earlier written. But this is, they're coming from the NSA and CDS. It says, hunger, poverty, catalyst for insecurity in Nigeria. Beside that, it says, petrol pump prices, okay, I'm unable to. NNPC raises petrol pump prices in Abuja and Lagos. Okay, Iran-Israel war, increased airfare, flight cancellations, suspensions loom. Flights from Nigeria face disruptions as Qatar closes airspace. Flights from Nigeria faces disruptions as Qatar closes airspace. Okay, that's an unfortunate one, but we have other stories here. Federal government files fresh cybercrime charges against Senator Natasha. Cybercrime charges against Senator Natasha. Gunmen hijack Benue Links bus, abduct all passengers. Gunmen hijack Benue Links bus, abduct all passengers. That story is on page 18 of the leadership newspaper this morning. Really unfortunate. I hope they regain their freedom. We cannot be recording this over and over again, where abductions like this exist. And to think the president had visited Benue State, and the chief of army staff had relocated to Benue State. We're hoping we will not for a very long time record this, but unfortunately it's still happening. An entire bus has been hijacked by gunmen. Gunmen is what we call them. I hope the federal government would do something. The security architecture that we have would do something about getting them rescued, and rescued fast, because we cannot afford to have another casualties. We cannot. It's becoming too much. Now, moving away from that, Flutterwave powers business growth in Cameroon with fully licensed payment services. Flutterwave powers business growth in Cameroon with fully licensed payment services. Constituency projects, source of legislative corruption, Agora policy. Constituency project, source of legislative corruption. You can pick that. You can pick the paper and go through to page 9, where that story is. It's talking about constituency project, source of corruption, of legislative corruption. That's coming from the Agora policy, is saying that 19-year-old Nigerian unveils app to disrupt global chat space. Wow, okay, that's good. We have often and always recorded the many innovations and how tech-savvy Nigerian youth are. A 19-year-old has just unveiled an app to disrupt global chat space. Let's see how that goes. You never can say. We may just replace WhatsApp. And I've always hammered on homegrown innovations that captures our peculiarities. So if this is it, I would subscribe to it. I would definitely subscribe to it. Something that is ours. I can speak pidgin and it would translate. I mean, I'm giving you ideas, but yeah, something that is more of us or more African, you know. That would be nice to know, but I can't wait to know what this 19-year-old is. In fact, I would like to have a conversation with him. The journalist in me is excited already. We move on from the leadership newspaper and quickly go to the Nigerian News Direct newspaper this morning. The Nigerian News Direct this morning says poverty, porous borders, and national security threats. That's what it's leading. That's the story it is leading with. The CDS raises alarm. That's what it says here. And the rider says, Defense Chief blames economic hardship for unending terrorism, banditry. Tinubu government fighting insecurity with agriculture, not just arms. Ribadu is saying that the president is fighting insecurity with agriculture and not just arms. But are we recording impact in this intervention in agriculture? That's the response I would like you to give. And remember, like I said, we're on Facebook, also on YouTube, where we are streaming. You can always get us, converse with us in that platform right there, where we can engage with you better. Right above the masthead of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper this morning, it says, midterm retreat. Makinde unveils performance delivery compact to track results. Reps order customs to suspend 7% import levy of by June 30th. Reps order customs to suspend 7% import levy by June 30th. Sanwo-Olu to commission West Africa's largest safety footwear factory today. Hey, West Africa's largest footwear factory today. We would no longer have to wear okrika. Now we produce it ourselves for the West African market, or rather for the African market. And maybe, just maybe, we would be taking this to other parts of the world. I mean, why not? Why not? If we've been wearing all the Italian shoes and all of that, it's time for Italians to wear the Nigerian shoes. Why not? Okay, federal government launches 2,000 tractors set to produce over 2 MMT of stable food. Okay, that's another one to celebrate right there. The Nigerian News Direct seem to have several very, would I say, optimistic stories. Everything here just seems to give me some sort of hope. And I'm happy about the shoe factory. I am always happy when we look inward as to what we can do. I hope the textile industry would also be revamped to see what we can do. It saddens me that when we are talking about the African Ankara these days, if you want African Ankara, guess where you go to? China. Yes, it saddens me, but that is what it is. We want our African Ankara, we go to China. African Ankara. So we need so much to be done in the textile industry, just as much as we're doing in the shoe industry. There's market for everyone. If only Africa buys African. You know what that means? If only Africa buys Africa, there's enough to go around, and we have the potential to export services and products that we've got. We've got the energies, we've got the innovations, we've got everything we need to thrive. Maybe enabling environment is what we need. Maybe policy direction. Maybe we need the leadership that would trust these innovations from Africans. But we've got the talent necessary. And yes, it really excites me each time we discuss what we can do, what we are doing, especially like we just mentioned, Africa's largest safety footwear factory, Africa's largest safety footwear factory. And we're also talking about 2,000 tractors set to produce several staple food. So I'm excited. Let's do more. Let us do more. Let's do more. Let's do better. We move on now to the Punch newspaper this morning. The Punch also has the entire paper taken by the FCT minister's invitation of the president. Okay, like I said earlier, is the commissioning of the newly constructed right-hand service carriage, like he said, from Idu to Zuba. So if you have the time, it's 2 p.m., you could go and see what the FCT minister is doing. Remember, this is all commissioning to commemorate in some way the anniversary of the president's 2 years in office. Imagine if all ministers are doing the same thing, commissioning projects and getting us intervention and policies that are very impactful to the people. Imagine we are recording successes like this in agriculture, successes like this in education, successes like this in several other ministries. Won't it be just a wonderful country? But while the FCT minister is doing so much, especially in infrastructure, a lot of people would also say, Honorable Minister Sir, human capital development, we have teachers still on strike, and all that. We have to improve living standards for some FCT residents. We have to look into the informal sector when it comes to enterprises, the environment necessary. They are being double taxed. Well, that's conversation for another day. But the Punch newspaper also has yet other stories right here. It says, factional fires. That's an interesting phrase. Factional fires. PDP governors meet, INEC amid neck tensions. PDP governors meet INEC amid neck tensions. And beside there, a story is squeezed in there. It says, Tinubu's Electricity Act, 7 states take charge of poverty regulation. And the riders here, it's too tiny to read. That's again because the Punch newspaper had taken the entire front page for the advert. So Tinubu's Electricity Act, 7 states take charge of power regulation. Remember that power, we now have power in the, is it concurrent or recurrent list? Yeah, and 7 states have taken charge of power regulation. That's an interesting one. Quickly, we move on now to the Daily Independent newspaper. The Daily Independent leads with the story, farmers see food prices crashing over removal of roadblocks. A relief. Farmers see food prices crashing over removal of roadblocks. And the writers here says, to boost mechanized farming, Tinubu unveils 2,000 tractors, vows to make farming attractive to youth and create jobs, pledges to turn rural communities into prosperity hubs. Don't compromise integrity of judiciary, CJN warns court administrators. Reps direct custom to halt 7% CISS levy collection. Nigeria achieves 40% revenue growth, hits 6.9 trillion naira milestone in the first quarter of 2025. Shetima harps on informal sector business integration into AFTA, that's the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Iran says it retaliated against U.S. forces in Iraq and Qatar. We have other stories here. 2027 opportunity to create a position against APC messed up. Baba Ahmed is saying that, and that's it for the Daily Times newspaper. I just want to quickly talk about the roadblocks. I don't know if this is figurative or literal. However, when we talk literal roadblocks, those who man our roads task these people when they see trucks of food, they lit up in joy because once again they would tax these trucks of food. While they are, I agree sometimes they are kept in the most unhygienic state. I see when animals are transported, I cringe because no animal should have to suffer. And no, I am not some Westerner who is talking about animal rights, but indeed it's a conversation we must have. When you see animals transported from one place to the other, you cringe because they are piled up above each other. You see them really wriggle in pain. Nobody wants to see that. It's really sad. It's really sad, and we really must do something. But instead of the caution that comes, we rather tax them. Oh, why would you carry animals like this? It's a road hazard, and you collect money from them. I don't know what you hope to achieve. And tomorrow they come back piling animals above each other. The animals are cringing. The animals are uncomfortable. You watch all of this, and you cannot help yourself. But they know that all they have to do is give the law enforcement something, and they have to pass once again. But that's for animals. We have vegetables as well. Vegetables are sometimes piled up, some fall off of these trucks, and instead of cautioning or ensuring that these transporters of agricultural produce do better, pile it better, they give them monies and they pass once again. But beyond that, beyond this means of transporting agricultural produce that maybe you may say is not properly done, beyond all of that, there is a taxing that happens whether or not you've done the right thing. As long as you're a truck coming with agricultural produce, if you have conversations with these guys, they will tell you that the taxes they pay on the roads just to pass with their produce is part of the reasons we are seeing the inflation. And remember such a time that we used to tease our law enforcement for collecting 20 naira. Well, inflation has gotten there too. So yes, it has tripled, or maybe it's no longer 20 naira. 500 naira is now too small. But then again, we have to fix our inflation so it will affect all of these other contingencies, I guess. But literal roadblocks are affecting prices of food, and everyone has to be captured into what is paid. The seller would capture whatever it took to transport this produce in, and so on and so forth. Really, really sad right there. But I'm happy. I'm hoping that these roadblocks will be removed. The president is unveiling 2,000 tractors. Oh, let it get to farmers. I don't think it's rocket science. We could learn ways, innovative ways to use it. We keep talking about how we can get farming attractive to young people. These are the ways. Let's get mechanized. It's not rocket science. Instead of discussing and putting so much power into 2027 leadership torso coalition, flying left, right, and center for engagement, let us use that monies to get us eating. Okay, so we move on quickly to the Matrix newspaper this morning. The Matrix newspaper has here, security threat, Abuja remains safe, federal government debunks the U.S. alert. Federal government debunks U.S. alert. The riders here says Abuja security systems effective, detects, neutralizes threats. Security intelligence agencies fully prepared to respond decisively to any threat. So the federal government is screaming, Abuja is safe, disregard the U.S. alert, the U.S. security alert. Above the masthead of the Matrix newspaper this morning, it says Dangote Cement shareholders earn 502.6 billion naira as dividend in 2024. Oh, now you wish you bought shares, right? 502.6 billion naira as dividend in 2024, as CSR gobs 13.19 billion naira. Moving away from that story, neck meeting fiasco, fresh crisis rocks the PDP. Fresh crisis rocks the PDP. Is it fresh if the crisis has been on and on and on? It's almost expected. However, the writer on that story says Damagun to Ologunagba You acted alone without consultation. Shocking, unfortunate that such sensitive matter was addressed publicly without recourse to party's leadership. Shocking, unfortunate that such sensitive matter was addressed publicly without recourse to party's leadership. So much is going on in the PDP, and frankly, some of us are dizzy. At this point, we are not sure if the PDP will survive to 2027. A lot of people have said it is the Tinubu tsunami. Tinubu has come and opposition cannot get their footing. Tinubu has said they have fundamental issues they have to solve themselves, that it is not him. However, he is happy. And it's unfortunate that we are not seeing that strong opposition that's holding this administration accountable with constructive criticism. There seems everything there. Parallel administration and leadership everywhere. Look at the Labour Party that we were celebrating some time ago. Labour Party came in like a martyr. Oh, they had the blueprints. They know they give shishi. Oh, they were the change that Nigeria needed. What's happening with the Labour Party? There's a parallel leadership right now, unfortunately, and there are suspensions and counter suspensions. There's even, as we speak now, suggestions and speculations that the Labour Party presidential candidate may be part of the coalition, even though Labour Party has refuted it. But which of the Labour Party refuted it? So that's the question right there. Peter Obi has been spotted to be having several meetings with the PDP former presidential candidate and the former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai. These are champions of the coalition, and there are whispers that he may be joining this coalition. But if he is, what is in it for him? Atiku wants to be president. He wants to be president, and maybe El-Rufai too wants to be president. Maybe they'll come to some consensus. Isn't that the new term for Nigerian politicians? Moving away from what the media terms fiasco in the PDP, we have other stories here. Reps direct custom to halt collection of illegal CISS levy from June 30th. 7% illegal, they call it illegal CISS levy from June 30th. Other stories here. Federal government commences agriculture renaissance as Tinubu launches 2,000 tractors for mechanized farming. Tony Anene's son slams Onanuga over false June 12 claims. And at the footer of the Matrix newspaper, okay, Odumodu Black, I think, declares himself Nigeria's hottest artist. Okay, well, whatever. Reps minority leader demands holistic response to Plateau killings. Reps minority leader demands holistic response to Plateau killings. Club World Cup, PSG. Okay, so this is a sports story. Please pardon me. We will move away from that story. That is the last newspaper we'll be taking on today's edition of the newspaper review segment. I had told you we're going to have the conversation of about the International Widows Day, where once again attention the spotlight is on widows, the challenges and sacrifices they sometimes have to make to still give their children that nurturing environment, that healthy environment, even though they may not have their fathers with them. And Nigeria has really fundamental issues when it comes to that has to be addressed. They are cultural, they are religious, sometimes religious beliefs that inhibit these widows. I know that Nigeria has recorded, or rather there's so much to celebrate. We've moved away from some of those very harmful cultural practices where when your husband passes on, they move you, your husband's brother takes you over like some property. That conversation would be coming shortly. So stay with us, we'll be right back.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube live stream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis, over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
The welfare of millions of people for generations to come may be affected by the wisdom which we here display. If Nigerian leaders and our British partners are to prove themselves worthy of their trust, now is the time for us solemnly and truly to dedicate ourselves to seeking the greatest good of the greatest number of our people in Nigeria. Independence for Nigeria in 1960 is imperative. But independence for Nigeria as a corporate entity is not enough. The peoples of Nigeria must at the same time be guaranteed their freedom. We must ensure that in an independent Nigeria, individual citizens throughout the land enjoy liberty, human dignity, and equality under the law. There must be one Nigeria with one constitution and one law for all. Let us therefore, Mr. Chairman, sir, close our ears to the counsel of despair, which says that we cannot hear at this conference agree on a constitution. If there's any doubt among us as to what should be written into the constitution, let us, as Democrats that we profess ourselves to be, refer such problems, as the goal has done recently, to the people whom we profess to represent, either just before or at the federal elections late in 1959.
Welcome back from that. We need to apologize. We had promised you that interview with the widows who would discuss the challenges they face in Nigeria. It goes without saying that these challenges abound and there are fundamental issues that must be addressed, and that's the interview we promised you. But unfortunately, that interview will not be coming your way at this moment. We would reschedule to bring you on a later date. But at the moment, we'll go for another short break to bring you agriculture for today and tomorrow. Remember, we had discussed so much around agriculture on today's papers, talking about the 2,000 tractors that the president has promised unveiled rather, for farmers in a bid to revamp the agricultural sector and get mechanized one step at a time, while also attracting young people to this very viable sector that not only ensures our improved GDP, but also food security within the country. We also discussed earlier the many promises the president has done for grazing, and I talked about the livestock. What's going on with our livestock ministry, livestock commission, Senate committee on livestock? There's so much that was established. The structures were all down. But are you seeing impact in the livestock? We still have our cows grazing on flowers that are supposed to give aesthetics to the FCT. Some of us have to stop by for cows, the herd of cows to pass. Otherwise, your side mirrors are in danger and all of that. What's happening with the livestock? What impact did we even think we're going to see when this ministry and all this entire government structure was built for livestock alone? I mean, I expected that we would have the improved conversations around improved grazing, ranching conversations would be rife. We would have conversations around some parts of the country earmarked for grazing and all of that. But what did Nigerians, what did you think? I mean, write us. I would like to hear what you thought will happen at the establishment of this Ministry of Livestock. And I keep laughing because I remember when our minister came into power, he saw how ridiculous it is that the FCT would still have in our superhighways, in our highways, heads of cows pass. And he said that was not going to happen. But what's going on there? Has he relented like every other person? Is this a fight that has overwhelmed him? Let's have that conversation behind the scenes on our social media platform. Like I told you, we are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook as well, Aso Radio and TV, where you can have the conversation with us. But moving away from that, we also discussed the many challenges in the agricultural sector and how farmers have asked the president to remove roadblocks that would ensure that the inflation in agricultural produce comes down. What's happening? Why are private sector? Why is the private sector not coming in with silos? We are still recording so much loss in the agricultural sector. I think that's questions that Daniel Black would be responding to in one of his many episodes of Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow. Speaking of that, he's coming up next, or rather the team is coming up next with more smart ideas and innovation, and giving us those very important tips on how you too can farm. And you know what the team often does, breaking down not just the staple food or something you think is around you, but talking about viable and all that. viable produce that you too can engage in, not just for internal consumption, but for export as well. Agriculture for today and tomorrow coming up next. I am Dr. Joy Asonye. We'll be back after that. Stay with us and enjoy.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube livestream, GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow. Here we promote smart solutions for greener harvest. I am Daniel Black, your host, and remember this is a Media for Agricultural Development project of GSAI, that's Growth for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative. That's an NGO that supports African farmers to adopt sustainable practices. Today we will be having a very interesting topic. There's so much clamor, there's so much crave for agriculture. Everybody's saying food, let's go into agriculture. Everybody's saying agriculture is the next goal and all of that. But have we taken into consideration the mental drain, the mental energy needed to go into the field of agriculture, where we provide food, where we nurture crops and livestock from tenderness to maturity, and then make sure food is available. As a farmer, when you sit and see how expensive food commodity has become, how do you feel? Let us find out if there is any correlation between the crisis going on in the agricultural space and the farmers producing the food. And we have an expert in the house to have that conversation with, having discussion, having understanding of how all these crises, how the challenges in the agricultural space actually it affects the farmer. Today to discuss this topic with us is Lucy E. Aben. She is the founder and executive director, Mental Health for Youth Initiative. Lucy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Lucy, for how long have I been trying to drag you on this show?
For the longest.
You wanted me to break down in mental health before you finally come.
No.
But my God has shamed you.
Thank you.
Viewers, meet Lucy Aben, the founder and executive director of Mental Health for Youth Initiative. And today we'll be discussing confronting mental health crisis among youth in agriculture. And the question is there a mental health crisis among youth in agriculture? Would you like to know? What after the short break, and we'll get more details about that. Let's go for a break.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, We are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us.
Welcome back from that short break. This is Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow, and we'll be discussing with Lucy Abeng, confronting the mental health crisis among youth in agriculture. Is there a mental health crisis? Lucy, please, is there a mental health crisis?
Okay. First, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be on the show. When we say mental health, most people just, shy away from it. Every human being, so when you have your physical health, there's also the aspect of the mental health,
Okay.
which is basically your thoughts, how you think, your emotions, how you process things and all. So that's basically where your mental health is. And then there can be mental health issues arising from anything you do. As a student, stress can cause you mental stress. As a farmer, that is what we're talking about today, very special.
Yes. And here we are talking about the crisis of mental health among youth in agriculture.
Yeah. So as a farmer, let's use young, or the first issue here is, let's use the young people first. Most times when you think of agriculture, they're like, oh, it's usually they would rather be in rural areas for agriculture. And maybe the average young person would want to go to a city or, not be in the rural area. So first, them having to go back to the village or like the
migrate back to the rural setting.
Yeah, so there's that whole stigma of, oh, you're not doing clean work. All those things really discourage people. So first of all, when you're even going there to farm, the first issue is, do I even have the money for it?
Yeah.
And then say you have the money, with the insecurity that is happening, there are farmers who, I can farm today, by harvest, what value is my product? So there's that issue of uncertainty.
We had a guest here that talked about how he started with 20 bets and lost 13 out of 20. So yes, I'm just buttressing your point.
Yeah, so with price of feeds and everything going up every day, you keep putting in so much. So you see there's a lot of stress financially that goes into that.
Of course.
And the fact that you're uncertain, my investment, will they yield the returns that I want that to happen? And then there's also now the case of insecurity.
Of course, yeah.
Because you see, that's part of one of the reasons why the price of food is going up, because farmers cannot go to the farms and get as much as they usually would.
There are lesser people farming.
Exactly. So all of these things have a toll on your mental health. How? Now, someone who has invested their last 1 million into poultry,
or borrowed 1 million.
Borrowed 1 million. So let's use poultry, catfish.
I don't know why people like livestock more than crops. Well, anyway, go ahead. When I say people, I mean most of my guests prefer to use livestock examples.
Well, you probably get more lost, I think, from livestock more than...
Don't let the crop farmers catch you. But anyway, that one is, go ahead.
Using catfish, for example, you invest 1 million into catfish, and one little thing happens and you lose everything, thousands.
Yeah.
How would you feel?
Please do not ask me to imagine that.
Do you get? So it would have, especially when the person is probably just starting, they don't have the right information, it would have a toll on you. You would feel sad probably for a long period of time. Someone can lose all of their investments, and that's depression.
Yeah.
Now, someone who is in the bush, the crop farmers, and they get attacked by bandits. For every time they want to go to the farm, they'll probably have this fear that, hope I'll
they
come
may
back
be attacked
alive.
again. Yeah.
And just imagine someone going through that for the period of tilling till harvest. And the person like, okay, after now I'm not going to do. But one way or the other, that's trauma of having to, am I going to die today? What's going to happen? That can actually have a mental toll on the farmer.
Wow.
So something called post-traumatic stress disorder, where you keep reliving what's happened before. A traumatic event has happened before, even after it has happened. So you see, there's or even anxiety, where you just keep having irrational fears.
There's a whole lot of that going around.
Yeah, so where it comes to the state of the farmers and their mental health, there's a very big correlation.
Wow.
Since you were asking.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, you've thrown a very serious light on this. You've brought it to the consciousness, and I'm sure that my viewers would accept that most of the things, of course, in Nigeria we take a whole lot of things for granted, but you know, the way you've put it out, you've listed them out, some of the things that would really take a toll on the mental health of young people, or basically any farmer. So, but of course, we have you have highlighted these, you've brought them out. So the question now is, what do we do? Is for the fear of having a mental health breakdown, should we not farm anymore? What would be? Of course, the topic here is confronting. So how do we confront this?
So first is being aware, which is what
we are trying to do here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So having that consciousness of that this thing is likely going to influence or affect my mental health. That awareness helps you to, you know, manage the emotions.
Yeah.
So first, as an individual, knowing that, okay, I'm feeling this way because this has happened before, and this is probably why I'm feeling this. So it's maybe a case of you trying to talk yourself into, okay, this has happened before. Times have changed, so maybe I should try and push past it. Or with information, you know that what I'm going through is more than myself. I need to speak to someone.
Okay.
I need to speak to a professional, or even someone I trust. Because most times when you share what you're feeling with someone else, sometimes even when you're speaking, it begins to make sense to you. Like, oh, so this is what's wrong.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you just need a listening ear,
Okay.
someone who actually cares to listen. When you're able to speak to someone around you, that helps with the right information. I'm looking from the government and even NGOs perspective. It's really just when you're planning your initiatives for farmers and people in the rural area, it's good to just include the mental health components, because if someone is mentally sound, they're more productive.
Oh, of course. And sorry, just hold that thought. You know, from what you mentioned, I now notice that sometimes a farmer may fail for the first time. Most times, in fact, from your analysis, the second failure may be largely due to anxiety, largely due to mental health.
Exactly.
Because he probably has not dealt through the trauma. He's so scared, and we know when you're scared of something, there's a high tendency for you to even fall into that thing again. So yeah, so I'm seeing a whole lot of intervention units from what you're elucidating. So now you've talked about being aware, and you've talked about talking through some of these things, but you also understand that we have a large population of farmers who are in quotes illiterate, who are in quotes poor, and most times their basic focus is daily living, daily survival, how to survive. Now, in simple terms, or in a simple format, how can these farmers who wake up in the morning, they cannot help but think, how do we feed? How can these farmers, without being too complex, be mindful of their mental health? Information.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't know something, if you're not aware of something, like what I had said earlier, when you don't, because most times you have some feelings and maybe you're just constantly sad, and you don't even it's a new thing. You can't even speak to anyone around you because they don't understand. They just tell you, snap out of it or something. Or maybe someone doesn't understand that you can't follow a particular path to the farm.
Yeah.
They just feel like you're just, and then in some cases they'll say, be a man, not knowing that there's something bigger you're fighting in your head. So having the right information actually helps, because when you have the right information, your brain's able to process thoughts better, to be like, oh, I've lost today, or I need to keep pushing, or right now it's not the very best, but I'll keep pushing, and hopefully things will get better.
Thank you so much, Lucy Abeng, founder and executive director of Mental Health for Youth Initiative. But it would be so bad if we leave without even understanding or knowing a little about MHYI, the organization with which you represent. So in very short terms, could you tell us what MHYI do, and let me put you on the spot. If you have had any interventions for farmers. Yes, please.
All right. So, Mental Health for Youth Initiative is a non-profit aimed at changing the narrative of mental health in Nigeria, especially for the young people. So if you notice in my conversations, I was tilting more towards the young people.
I wonder the fate of the old people.
Well, it's
don't bother about that.
yeah, everyone is captured, but the primary focus
is the future of the country.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Wow. And I must say, congrats on the recent launch of your book. Would you want to tell us a little about that?
Oh yeah. So we launched a mental health guide for young people.
Yes, a mental health guide.
With the Federal Ministry of Youth. We hope the plan is to distribute it to every young person in Nigeria. Would also pay very good attention to the farmers.
Please, by all means, yes. You have highlighted this, and I think it's a pain point that we need to begin to look at, because the more, at GSAI, our mantra is Africa does not need more farmers, we need better farmers. And I think mental health is key to having better farmers in Africa. I hope someone has learned something today. I hope you have picked out something. You have understood the reason for that your failure, or the reason for that your constant sadness and feeling of being maybe discouragement and all of that. You probably may be in a mental health crisis, and you really need to look at it. You really need to begin to confront it headlong. That is all we'll be taking on agriculture for today and tomorrow. You can follow us on social media. We will make a post about this. If you know of other mental health challenges, examples of mental health challenges, or scenarios that farmers have gone through, please drop them in the comment section, and we will continue to interact more. And I'm very certain that after now, we will have a conversation with the Mental Health for Youth Initiative people, and we should be able to come up with an intervention for farmers. Of course, they're already federal now, so we of course will be able to reach farmers across the nation. Thank you so much for viewing today's episode. Remember, I am Daniel Black, and here we promote smart solutions for greener harvest. See you in the next episode.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover
Welcome back from that, Daniel Black. Thank you so much for giving us once again those very important conversations around agriculture, the potentials in it, and how viable that sector truly is. But this is where we end today's edition of Aso Morning. I am Dr. Joy Asonye, thanking you for being part of the program and wishing you a productive day.